somehow got it in my head that I can make a full diorama of the Maze Runner maze. Something like this one, except a lot bigger. And this is the size we want to go with because I want to be able to put the maze on top of my spinning table. So let's get started. It is honestly near impossible to find a good shot of the Maze Runner maze from a bird's eye. This is about the best photo I could find, as well as like this of the Glade. So we're gonna try and work with that. Pray for me. No, wait, but what if we only make the Glade and then the first few layers of the maze? And then we can add on the maze later if we want to. So I'm gonna get this little painting really quick because it's square, just to sketch out like a guideline, I guess. Oh, look at that. This model's going to be enormous. Let's just cut out some foam for like the outer walls and start with that. Just gonna make sure that this is totally even. Now I have my pieces. Let's just glue them together first to create the border. I hope I got the measurements right, hey? We got our little square. That's the base. Now there's 4 of these entrances to the maze and they also have like this separate like beam on the side of it. Feels like I'm playing a game of math, but here are my corners. Now we're gonna have little holes for the entrances of the maze once we glue these down. Look at it! These are my little bits for the side of the entrances. Skipping all the foam cutting stuff because some people hate the sound of cutting foam. So here we go. Glue 2 of these on either side like, that's cool. Now it's time for the messy part. Here is a bunch of air dry clay I've made and I'm going to smear it all over this. I think I'm going to try and keep it as fine as possible so it doesn't take too long to dry. Look at it! We've got the entrance to the maze over here, so I think we're going to do the forest in this corner. Honestly, just something like so. Okay, perfect. Now for the last step, we're just going to pour some glue over the base and then sprinkle some sand over the top just to create like that ground base. I especially want to make sure we get all the sand down the entrance tunnel. If we decide to put Grievers or any features down, it's got to be near that entrance. Okay, we are done with the base. See how it looks like on the bookshelf. And here it is. We got to let it dry before we can continue, but what do we think so far? It is day 2 of attempting to make the maze from the Maze Runner. This is where we left off so far. We have the entrance of the maze here, and we've also started working on the forest down the back here. And because we really have no accurate photos yet of the entire maze put together, we've decided to just start by making the Glade. Let's paint it and add a bit more details into it. Here is our paint drawer, and we're going to need brown for the floor of the Glade, green for the tree line, and grey for the walls. I'm trying to decide what we should add into the Glade as well, because even though this model's quite large, it's still kind of small enough that the details are going to be smaller. So if anyone has anything they want to put in there, just let me know because I need ideas. I've decided to mix my poopy brown straight onto the soil. It doesn't look like much, but I only want a really thin layer. Oh my god. It's actually starting to look like the Glade. But I think I want to pour some grass fibers over this wet soil before it fully dries. Our little grass fiber box. I don't have very much left, but we're going to use the rest of this up. I'm going to put most of it along the edge here. Very likely we'll need to get more grass fibers before this project's over, but look, it's a start, okay? While these bits dry, I'm going to paint the wall. Might need quite a bit. Okay, the wall is all painted. And we're going to start putting the greenery on the forest. The only issue is greenery bits have really nice little vines and I want to put them on the walls. I think it's going to look really weird if we have like the exact same greenery in 2 areas. So I'm going to try something a little bit differently, but I need you guys to tell me if you think it looks okay. So here is a bunch of greenery I made myself. And I was thinking of just putting this all over that. Do we think that can pass as a forest? Yes or no? And if we like this, I'm going to go make some more because we don't have very much left and I want it to cover this entire area. And then I just got to spear the first few bits of greenery onto the wall to give you a vague idea of what it's going to look like. Now we still need to work on that greenery, so now to make this, you're going to need a blender, a sheet of aluminium foil, and some green paint and or food colouring. Gonna put that aside for a sec. And now we pray. Open this up. Now I usually just stain this with some food dye. I'm just gonna put the ground up foam into this. Oh my goodness, oh, that's a big chunk. I'm just gonna take that out and then just mix up the rest of this. Look at that, it's like a little forest in a bowl. Okay, literally all we have to do now is wait for this to dry and then we can put it in our maze. That that's why I got the aluminium foil. Sometimes I'll put this in the oven, but I do think the result is a lot better if this like dries overnight. So let's add the forest onto it. I prepared a little bit of fake moss so we can put this into the forest part, but I may have just noticed something. Now it's really hard to find a good image that represents the maze in its entirety. So I spent literally the last 3 hours and this is my camera roll of all the information I found. And while doing so, I realized there's like all these gaps between the forest here. Let's fix it. I'm just gonna cut down the center of my paper mache. Oh my goodness. Okay, look at it. It's so sad. This just doesn't feel right. Okay, now I'm just gonna cover this all in glue, grab some of our fake moss, and honestly pray that this can fix our mistakes. All right, look, it's a start at least. And I'm gonna fix this area here where we put some extra sand on top of. I think I want the box to go like, the stuff falling everywhere. Anyway, I want the box to be there. Right here in the middle. This spot here in the middle is where we want to prioritize all the greenery. So I'm just going to pour this all over this section. And to add a bit of variation to it as well, I'm going to cut a couple of these strands up and put them around there as well. Mostly just down the front here. I am really racing against time right now because it's getting so late and I can barely see what I'm doing. But I really want to add the vines along the walls. So to do that, I'm just going to grab my glue and just smear it on my walls. And then I got this box here. It's got these really cool little vine bits. And I'm just going to start by smearing them against the walls. Now, I'm probably going to look at this tomorrow morning in full daylight and want to change so many things about it. Totally should not have started this so late at night, but that's my bad. I'm sorry. Either way, right now in the low lighting, I think it looks okay. Let's add the box into our Maze Runner Glade. Here is our little glade so far, and I think I want to add the box right here. I think the bane of our existence with this project is finding appropriate screen grabs, but I managed to find this one here of the box from when Teresa came up in it. Seems to be a slightly rectangular shaped, made out of concrete. So I'm just gonna start by cutting out pieces of cardboard and building it on top of each other. Something like that. I think that's a good size. I don't want to make it too big, but I kind of want to make it look somewhat noticeable because it's such an iconic landmark of the Glade. Okay, here's my 3 different layers. I'm going to cover the first one in a fine layer of sand because that's our concrete layer. This should give it quite a nice texture. It doesn't look like much now, but trust me. And this layer here is a metal texture. I think we should keep it really simple just by painting it with a metallic paint. Fingers crossed. I want to layer it up with a few different colors though, just to make it look that little bit more rustic. Okay, yeah, that looks so cool. Do we see that? The hardest part is definitely this great layer over here. And look, I debated putting wire on top of it, but it's such a small little model that I think I'm just gonna paint it on top. Praying I don't smudge it. Okay, it's far from perfect, but I don't hate it. Let's glue all 3 pieces together and see how it looks. Guys, I don't know about anybody else, but I think this really slaps. Look at that. Here's a little bit of a close-up. I think I want to put a bit of the grass fibers around it so it looks like it's in the ground a little bit more, but like, I'm pretty happy with that. I forgot to add the little pond into my Maze Runner diorama. I can't find the original comment of the person that made me realize this, but thank you to the person that said it. I completely forgot again, but I'm gonna add it in right now. Mostly because I like making my little rivers and lakes and waters and creeks out of resin. And because this one's teeny tiny, I'm gonna use a UV resin, and since the sun is out, we're gonna do that before the sun goes down. This is the little pond that we're gonna be adding into the glade. Supposed to be right underneath this tree over here. And I'm just gonna get out my drawer of paints, as well as what's left of my craft glue and some toilet paper. The toilet paper is gonna serve as the base of our little creek. Add all fun little shapes into the toilet paper. And usually I wouldn't do this because I want to leave all the layers to rest in between like layers and stuff, but it's only a small little river, so adding some more grass around the edges. So it looks like the pond is sitting inside the water, not on top of the water. I also put a few rocks and stuff around it. Now, a little paper mache thingy had time to dry in the sun a little bit, so I'm just gonna paint it using a bit of blue, black, and green to make it look like a pond. Okay, it's slowly getting somewhere. All we have to do now is let this dry and then we can put some resin over it and it will be done. Okay, wait, that actually looks really cute. Here it is. And here it is with a bit more of a close-up. Can't really notice it in this lighting at the moment, but the resin did make it quite shiny. Okay, this wall of names in the Maze Runner movie, I think would look really, really good in this corner of our diorama. I want this to be the entrance of our maze, so I feel like that's a very appropriate spot. So I left it quite open, so we got a lot of space to write the names. Now, I'm not sure if I should write it with this charcoal pen the same way that I did it for like this diorama, or if I should wing it and just go all out with a massive acrylic pen. I think I might try with this pen first and see if I like it. So I'm going to start by writing Albie's name. This angle is so awkward. No, you definitely can't use this acrylic pen. Like, that's way too fat. Okay, might just try and do it in black and see if that looks okay. I don't think you understand how hard this angle is. Like, what? I just have to, like... Oh, okay. All right, I think I got it as good as we're going to get it. Here it is over here. I didn't add all the names on it, and I also included a couple of fan favorite names. Like, I added Newt on there because I love Newt. But it's not perfect, but it's okay. It's there. It's happening. I'm going to try and make this little treehouse from the Maze Runner. And I think we want to put it right over here in our little model. We have to make this on quite a small scale, so I'm thinking I'm going to try and use this stick as the structure and then build all the little platforms out of these just by super gluing it all together. I guess kind of in a similar way that we did this. Like so, kind of? I don't know. It's actually looking so good. I'm just going to take it off. Now the scaling is definitely off with this. Like, look how much taller that is than the trees. Oh my goodness. I do think I want to add a little mini terraza on this at some point. And look, honestly, this model is not totally in scale anymore. I'm undecided if we should add a little ladder on top of that, at least until we know the scaling of the people. But I do want to add like some ropes and stuff hanging off it just to kind of like give it a little something something. I've got this, and I know this is a sewing string, but look, the scaling has to be small, so it is what it is. So let's just glue this on the top here. Again with the super glue. Okay, yeah, that's so cute. Look at that. Let's just glue it in and see how it looks like in the model. I'm also thinking of adding some stones around the base of it, just as a bit of a finishing touch. Okay, here it is, the little tree house. I actually can't wait to put Teresa on top of this. It's so big, but it's okay. I like it. Okay, let's add a little runner hut into our model of the Maze Runner maze. I'm thinking we should put it right down the back corner, like just over here. Because in the movie, it was inside the forest, but I want to be able to see it. So I think like in that corner is a really safe bet because it still looks like it's in the forest, even though it technically isn't. So this is the closest reference I could find of the Maze Runner hut. In this deleted scene, we can see the hut like really clearly right over here. Now I've been debating on how to make it. So we're gonna do a little experiment with this one. I've got some hay here, and I think I'm gonna shape the hut first out of cardboard and then add the hay on top of it. But we also do have these little sticks that we can add if we don't like the hay. Make up the little base first. Just a quick little size test. Oh, it's quite big, but let's get messy and glue all the hay on top of it. I really hope this works, hey? All right, okay, it's not bad. I've played around with it a little bit. It's not like totally accurate to how it's supposed to look like, but that's because it's just so small and so hard to get like the details in it. Yes or no? Do we like it or should I try again? But it's all coming together slowly. Look at it.
Was it the best you ever had? Was it the worst you never know? I gotta tell you what I think and play it up like it's a joke. Oh, no more surprises. Yes, it's like this. I'll do anything for you. Mrs. Highness.
Let's add a mini slammer, aka the jail of the Maze Runner universe, into our Maze Runner Glade. Now I've got a bunch of these mini sticks, and I'm just gonna snap them up and put them together like so. Until it starts to look something like this. Now I'm just gonna grab the super glue and I'm just going to put it all over the top of the sticks. I also made a teeny tiny little door. And I know in the movie they have like multiple doors and stuff in their little slammers, but I think I'm gonna only add one simply because it's a really small model and I want it to look still good. So this is that. This, oh please don't break. Oh no, we broke, but we managed. I don't know how I managed, but that is like near perfect sizing. Now I just have to glue it all together and add some sides on. Ta-da! We have to decide where we want to put it in here. I think we'd add like little farms and stuff back here. So maybe in this corner. I feel like there's not really much more we're gonna build here, so that's a really safe bet. I'm just gonna glue it in. Okay, here it is. Eventually, what I'm going to do is probably close all these doors up except for like this main one over here. So it's not going to look as random sitting here, but at the time being, this is how it looks like. Let's finish our model of the Maze Runner maze. As we can see, we still need to paint the outside of it. Here's the entrance of the maze. So we're going to eventually add a griever and stuff on it. But these other ones here, I want to close these up, I think, at some point. So I made these little like bits that we can put in here in case you want to close the doors of the maze. So I'm gonna get my box of paints and we're gonna have grey for the walls and then a concoction of brown for the ground. Want to match the color to this a little bit. Okay, so let's go. Just like so. I have yet to decide if I want to put all the greenery on the outside walls as well or if we're just going to paint them grey. Look at it. I'm going to quickly whip up some brown for the ground now. Something like this. I'm going to put that all over the base. I can't believe we're nearly done with this project. It feels so crazy. I mean, done. Because I still want to add a griever into it and Thomas and Minho as well running through the maze. Maybe Gally. Otherwise, done, kind of. See how it looks like on the bookshelf. Okay, ready? Moment of truth. This is the bookshelf in question, and I'm just gonna... Ta-da! I actually love it. It's perfectly made to fit this little bookshelf, so look, let me know what you guys think. Do you like it? And should we add some Grievers in it next? I think it's finally time to add a Griever into our model of the Maze Runner maze. You know, this little cutie. Don't know exactly how we're going to achieve that yet, but I got some polymer clay and some wires, and we're going to figure it out as we go. I'm thinking the wires for the legs and then the polymer clay for the body. I have made a little Griever in this model before. Do we see him back here? But that one wasn't very movie accurate, so let's try and make a movie accurate one, or at least to the best of our abilities. First, let's start with this body part. It looks like a scary ghost tadpole, the heck? Let's put it in the oven though and just see how it looks. In the meantime, I'm gonna work on the legs. Just gonna chop up some bits of wire, like that, and maybe just like curl other bits of wire around it in a way. Like, I don't know. Not convinced on this one, but I think I'm gonna add some strands of hot glue on it as well for like all the goopy bits. Now, all we have to do is paint it. And of course, the little hot glue strand. Let me know what you think. This is it here. Honestly, what the heck did I just make? We need to test it in the maze though. I want to put him down here in the entrance. So like here, he actually fits pretty good around the corner. Look at that. Oh my goodness, what? I just made a little teeny tiny newt for our model of the Maze Runner maze. Like, look how teeny small. So small. Let's do a scale check to make sure our little teeny tiny newt fits into our maze. Here he is on the little treehouse. The little box thing is probably the wrong size, but you know, honestly the same with like the pits and like the houses, but at least he can fit through the doorways. Like, that's a plus. Anyway, I made him because I want to put him in the gardens, like, you know, Newt and Dart's gardens in the Maze Runner. And I just finished making them. They're right over in this corner. So I'm gonna glue little Newt into it. And no, don't look at him too closely because he doesn't have a face. Super glue broke earlier, so we're gluing it in through a little hole on the back. So I'm just gonna glue his feet and then put him like, oh yeah, something like that. I want him to be near the gardens, but I also want you to be able to like see him as well. Okay. There he is! Back there looking at the entrance of the maze, waiting for Thomas to come home. I want to make more people now. That was really fun. I feel like I'm a child again playing with dolls. But anyway.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both reached for. Let me hear it. The gun, oh yes, they both reached for the gun, for the gun. A little louder. Oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both, oh yes, they both. Oh yeah.